In the early years of the 20th century, as America stepped into a new era of industry expansion and identity, a quiet battle was unfolding, not on battlefields, but inside classrooms. This is a hidden story of a schoolteacher in 1901 who dared to defend historical truth. At a time when education systems were rapidly growing, textbooks were not always written with accuracy in mind. Many were shaped by political influence, cultural bias, or incomplete understanding. History, as it was taught, often reflected the perspective of those in power, not necessarily the full truth. In a small-town classroom, one teacher began to notice something troubling. The lessons being taught to children were inconsistent with documented accounts. Key events were simplified, altered, or, in some cases, entirely misrepresented. Stories of indigenous communities, early settlers, and national conflicts were being told through a narrow lens. But this teacher refused to stay silent. Instead of following prescribed curriculum without question, they began conducting their own research, consulting original documents, letters, and first-hand accounts. What they discovered confirmed their concerns. History was being reshaped, determined to make a difference. The teacher introduced students to a broader perspective. They encouraged critical thinking, discussion, and questioning, something rare for that time. Students were no longer just memorizing dates and names. They were learning to analyze, to compare sources, and to understand that history could have multiple viewpoints. However, this approach did not go unnoticed. School authorities and local officials began to question the teacher's methods. Accusations arose, claims that they were challenging accepted narratives and disrupting standardized education. Pressure mounted. The teacher was warned to return to the approved curriculum or face consequences. But standing firm, they defended their position. That education should be rooted in truth, not convenience. That students deserve more than a single version of events. That history in its complexity should be explored, not simplified for comfort. This quiet act of resistance came at a cost. Though records of this teacher remain scarce, stories suggest they faced professional isolation and possible dismissal. Yet their impact endured, not through fame, but through the students they inspired. Many of those students carried forward the idea that truth matters. That questioning is not rebellion. It is responsibility. Today, more than a century later, the debate over how history should be taught continues. Whose stories are told, which voices are heard, and how do we ensure accuracy in a world of perspectives? The story of this 1901 schoolteacher reminds us that the pursuit of truth often begins with a single voice willing to stand apart. And sometimes, the most powerful changes in history don't come from leaders or laws, but from those who dare to teach differently.